Hello viewers, I am Dr. B.L. Gajja, subject matter specialist in the field of the agriculture economics. The topics which has been assigned to me for your present lectures is on the introduction to the agriculture and the natural resource economics and the farm management. Before we start our lectures, we should be well acquainted with the name the natural resources, which is now widely used in our day-to-day work also. What is the meaning of the natural resources, what type of the natural resources, and what are the natural resource economics? Now, the resources which are available on the earth is called the natural resources. Whether it is on the sphere or inside the earth, they all are called the natural resources. For example, air, water, land, and all the minerals, coal, petrol, uranium, thoriums, they are all are available in the earth. So they are designated as a word natural resources. Now all these things which are has been defined by the different authors in the two groups. One group say the natural resources should be defined in the form of the abiotic and the biotic. Classification of the natural resources, it is based on the two different ways, biotic and the abiotic. Biotic resources means obtained from the biosphere. For example, animals, birds, fish, coal and petroleum are also considered biotic resources because they were formed from the decayed organic matters. Over the times when in the earth there are a number of geological formations, and during that the number of the biomass has been buried in our nature, and after that a long time it came in a particular form. They are called as a biotic resources. And abiotic resources comprise of non-living things, for example land, water, air, gold, iron and copper and silver, because they are the non-living. And the another way of the classification of the natural resources based on the renewable and the non-renewable resources. Renewable resources, those resources which can be reproduced easily, called the renewable. These are the sunlight, air, wind and water, because they are available in the plenty of water, and these are be reused again. And the non-renewable resources formed over the very long geological periods. These cannot be reproduced once they get depleted. Only the metallic minerals can be reused by recycling, other cannot be recycled. For example, minerals, fossils, coals and the petroleum. The minerals can be reproduced or recycled. For example, if we use the mineral resources, for example iron, from the iron we can make a number of products like our angle irons and all the other materials. After a while, sometimes we can be recycling and form again the iron ore, but we cannot go back to as an iron ore. So they are called the non-renewable resources. Now I am going to define what is the meaning of the economics, because these are the very essential to know what are the fundamentals of the economics. The definition of the economics. Economics is the study of the allocation of the scarce resources, supply and the demand, which satisfy the needs of the human, which are unlimited. When we will have our desire will generate our demand. If we don't have any desire, we don't have any demand. When the demand is created, naturally there will be a production system, and from that production system it will come in the market, and we will get it for our consumptions, and we will satisfy our needs. If we have satisfied our needs, then it is called economics. Now the another way in the word economics has been defined is that the economics is the social science that is deals with the production, distribution and consumptions of the goods and services. As I have mentioned, the desire means the demand. When there is a demand, then there is a production, then it will come in the market in the form of the distribution, and ultimately we will consume these goods and the services. This is called our economics. That indicates what are the subjects which are related with the economics. Economics tell how a man utilize his limited resources for the satisfaction of unlimited wants. Man has a limited amount of the time and the money. He should spend the time and the money in such a way that he deserves the maximum satisfaction. When there is a demand, then the goods and the services are available. For that we have to wait for the sometimes, and for purchasing it we have the money, and without the money we cannot get it, then we cannot satisfy our needs. So money and the time is also the very important roles in the economics. For example, a man wants foods, clothes and the shelter. To get these things he must have the money. Now if he don't have the money he cannot buy this one. For getting money he must make an effort. Effort leads to the satisfaction. Thus efforts satisfaction some of the subjects. When we have a number of our demands, means our supply system will be there, and the number of goods that will be satisfied our, then whole of these things will also go our satisfied. The subject matter of the economics initially a primitive society where the connections between the wants, efforts and the satisfaction is direct. Traditionally approach. Now the economics have a two different way to approach this economics. One is called economics as a science of wealth and divided into the four divisions. As I have mentioned that when our demand is there, then the production is there, then the distribution is there, then the consumption, then there is an exchange in the form of the money. The producer will say you have to pay that much amount to me, and so that I can provide this goods and services to you, then it will be consumed. Now the another way in the modern approach is called microeconomics and the macroeconomics. These two aspects we have to deal. What do you mean by the microeconomics and the macroeconomics in our society? Microeconomics, or somebody say it is a price theory. Economics is deals with a small unit. Therefore, a small decision making unit such as a farm or an industry or a consumer, etc. It studies only the employment in the firm or in the industry. It also studies the flow of the economic resources, factors of production from the resource owner to the business firm, and flow of the goods and the services from the business firm to the household. When we are talking about the firm or the industry, is a small unit, not a bigger one. So it is called coming under the study of the microeconomics. When we are talking about in the form of the nation or a state, that it is called a macro. Macroeconomics deals with the demand of the country. Say for example, when we are talking about our national income is estimated at the level of the nation, mean at a bigger unit. On an aggregate, suppose our micro study say this is the requirement of a particular regions. When all the regions are aggregated, then it is called a macroeconomics. Therefore, the macroeconomics and analysis of the aggregates and the average pertains to the entire economy, such as the national income, gross domestic product, total employment, total output, total consumption, aggregate demand, aggregate supply, etc. Macroeconomics looks to the nation's total economic activity rather than the individual. Then again we should go for the in the detail of the microeconomics. Microeconomics therefore the study the problems of the individual economics unit, such as a farm, an industry, a consumer or a producer. The microeconomics deals with the problem of the price determination, resource allocation, etc. While formulating the economic theory, microeconomics assumes that the other things remain the constant. We can consider single demand at a time, and the other demands are provided to us, and we are satisfied with the remaining. So we have to consider only the one unit at the time. The main determination of microeconomics is the price. When we are producing something and distributed among the users, say the persons or the society who wants that goods and the services, he has to pay something. The paying of an amounts from your income is called the price, or the price we can say in the other word, that the price is the amount at which the buyer is ready to sell to the consumers and the consumers is ready to purchase it. So this is called the price. Then the microeconomics satisfied our demands only if we have the money in terms of go back into the form of the price. In the macroeconomics, studies deal with the problems relating to an economic, that is the national economics, total saving etc. Microeconomics deals the problems of the economic growth, employments and the income determination etc. In microeconomics, economics variables are mutually interrelated. Since I have mentioned that these microeconomics parameters, when aggregate, then it turns into the macroeconomics. So, macroeconomics and the microeconomics are the interrelated. Before we are going to study what is the economics studies and the dynamics in our life, when we are calling, he is a very dynamic person. What do you mean by this dynamic? And the other say he is a stagnated person, he is not having any desire. When you don't have any desire or you don't want any change, means you are stationed at a particular point and you don't want any movement. And the dynamics, when you are changing your place from one to one and put more and more desire, if you go into that terms, the desire, if you have a say, this is only my desire, and after fulfilling that desire, you say, okay, I am satisfied. When you say, now after completing my one desire, you say, no, I want this thing. After that, again you say, no, I want this thing. These are known as the dynamics. When you are moving very fast from one demand to the other, and when you have a state, say, okay, I am now satisfied and I don't have anything, it is called the word, the statistics. Now, in the field of the economics, we have to define the same principle in the economics, statistics and the economic dynamics. Economics, statistics. Statistics mean fetching to a standstill. What I say, you don't have any demand future, it means stand still, that is at rest in stage. In other words, there is no change. In physics, it means a state of rest where there is no movement. In economics, it entails a state characterized by the movement at a particular level without any change. Static economic is an internal economy where no transformation happens and it is essential in the equilibrium. Indices are attended stability and they are current demand, production and cost of the goods and the services. Let us be defined in the form of our variable. Now, demand and the supply. Demand, when we will go for the law of the demand, then we will come to know what is the word the demand and how it is related with the price, and also the supply with the price. For example, when you have the 100 rupees to spend on a particular commodity, when the price is high, you will get a 1 unit. When the price will lower, you will get a 2 units. So, demand is related with the price. Similarly, when the demand is there, then there will be a supply. Supply will be guided by again the price. If the market having a high price for a particular things, then the supply will be more. Otherwise, the supply will be reduced. So, these two things are the related with the price. When they are constant, say demand and the supply is represented by demand is equal to D is equal to a P and S is equal to also P. From the equation, if we D is equal to S, means we are in the equilibrium position, where D is the quantity of demand of a commodity, S is the quantity supplied of that commodity and P is the price. According to the economics Hicks statistics, economics is defined as one in which certain key variables, the quantities, commodities that are produced and consumed and price at which they are exchanged are unchanging. For example, long time, if our petrol price is constant and supply is also constant, then there is no change in our price. Whenever there is a change in the supply, then there will be a change in our price also. So, when there is no change in that, it means it is a stagnated, say it is a stage of the economic statistics. When we are talking about our agriculture production from the last 4 years is at the 250 million, what it states? That we are in a stage of stagnation, and that is we are stayed as a fixed point. And now we have dealt with the case of the micro situation. Now, what will be the definition of the in case of the macro statistics? Macro statistics investigation describe the static equilibrium situation of the financial system. If we have go our index number Bombay Stock Exchange, in that case they are also saying there is a stagnation in our BSE Sensex index number. There is no change in our BSE index number. That is, BSE index reflects our macroeconomics study because it totally reflects all the our national economy at a particular point. For this technique is one of the investigations of the relations between macroeconomics in the financial position of the equilibrium without reference to the process of the adjustment implicit in that financial position. When our budget is presented in the Lok Sabha and we are saying this is our expenditure and this is our revenue, and there is a no change at all in that financial year, that indicates our macro statistics is in a position. Similarly, that can be reflected in a equation. Such a final point of equilibrium may be shown by the equation y is equal to C plus I, where y is the total income, C is the total consumption expenditure and I the total investment expenditure. It simply shows the eternal identity equations without any adjusting mechanism. When there is some adjustment or the additional budget required for our during the financial year, it will go in a different way. It is not stagnated. Now, we go for our economic dynamic. As mentioned in the recently, it is the study of change of increase of rate or decrease in rate, whether our movement is forward or in a backward direction. When we are going in a forward direction, then it is called increase rate of. When we are going in a backward direction, it is called the decrease in the rate. Now, that is what it indicates. We are moving. Either we are moving in a forward direction or in a backward direction, but we are moving, but we are not at a particular point. Professor Ackley defined as dynamics is the concern essentially with states of disequilibrium and with changes. It is the examinations of the methods of change which persist through time or over the time. When disequilibrium, as in the case of the statistics, I say demand is equal to supply. That is a stop. There is no further change in the equilibrium position. In the same, if there is a change in the supply system, either in a forward direction or in a backward direction, there is a change in the supply system. Similarly, when your income is increasing, means your demand is increasing, that is also indicates you are in a dynamic process. Economic dynamics is therefore the concerns with the state of disequilibrium and with changes. It is the examination of the method of change which persists through time or over time. An economy may change through time in two ways, without changing its pattern and by changing its pattern. Economic dynamics related to the latter type of the changes. If there is a change in the population, capital, method of production and form of business organization and taste of the people are the major subject of the dynamics and all the examples of the economic dynamics. Then what is the scope of the economics? That is, in which field we have to go for our concentration in a different field of the economics. The main objectives of the economics on using the available resources efficiently by giving the maximum satisfaction or welfare to the people on a sustainable basis. The following main branches of the economics: macroeconomics and the international economics, economic development and the environmental economics. Today in our lecture, we have discussed about what is the natural resources and what is the economics, and defined what is the meaning of the economics, at a micro level and the macro level, and also discuss about what is the meaning of the static and the dynamic with special reference to our economic activities daily. For in that case, we have discussed also about the equilibrium position. When there is a change in our equilibrium, it will goes for a dynamic purpose. When our equilibrium does not change and remains at the stagnated point, it is called an static position. Thank you very much for this lecture.